Alright, y'all. Final stretch. This is the last video in my Dark Souls walkthrough. This is a short one. I thought it was going to take me much longer to clear this remaining content. So just for the sake of padding the video a bit, I'm going to add a little New Game Plus content. One thing I did when I started my playthrough, because I was recording at the time on the Xbox, which only allows you to record in short increments, I was skipping a lot of the cutscenes and cinematics and that sort of thing. So what I do is I play through into New Game Plus and at least include those cinematics, and that way this walkthrough includes everything. Nothing is removed, nothing is cut. So this giant walkway of ash is pretty cool. If there's any remaining mats you want to farm for making any badass magic items, this is the place to do it, because you can get Titanite chunks of every color as long as you don't mind fighting Black Knights. But at this point, you should be so powerful, you should be able to handle these guys no problem. I think they look cool as hell. They're a ton of fun to fight. So yeah, just enjoy. I am saving my spells for the boss. I'm going to be fighting all these guys with my dagger. And because I'm going to be using my Manus Catalyst, that halves the number of uses I have from my spells, so that definitely increases the need to be very economical in my approach. But luckily at this point, there's a ton of room to maneuver these guys. It's not like we're like fighting on ledges or cliffs or anything like that. So just avoid their main attacks, don't get shield bashed, and take their asses out. But yeah, if you can't backstab these guys at this point, what have you been doing during your playthrough getting up to this point? But yeah, they do hit hard, so be careful. I mean, don't take them lightly. They are the final mobs in the game for a reason, and they're not total pushovers. I'm just enjoying exploring this area a bit. I don't really know the lore all that well, I can't explain it that well, but essentially this is all ash. And Gwyn is, I don't know, he's in decline, and so the realm is in decline, and basically he needs to be put out of his misery. He's gone hollow, and you can either resurrect the fire of this dying world, or you can just let the world die. And it doesn't really matter. I mean, the endings are barely different depending on what you decide to do. I mean, Dark Souls, the appeal of Dark Souls is the gameplay, not whatever cinematics they show you before and after. So it's not like we're going to get some big 10-minute movie at the end of it. It's like 5 seconds, and then it's over, and then you just start over and play it again, because the goal in Dark Souls is just to keep you playing. Now this guy, I advise a little caution, because the walkways are narrow, and there are these little inclines that are very easy to find, like slippery corners that would just send you shooting straight off the edge. So what I like doing is pulling this guy over. Now that I've got a mark on him, I can see the blue spark. I decide to swap out my regular arrows for some of my remaining poison arrows, since I got 12, and I'm gonna get his attention that way, because once he gets poisoned, he will not be able to ignore me any longer. So actually, it looks like he is still ignore me. It's only when I walk a little closer that he decides to come harass me. Now I've got his attention. So yeah, these little edges where the ash is, you just gotta be real careful walking on those edges, because it's real easy for the game to kind of like send you up them too high, and if it sends you up them too high, it'll make you kind of slide back down, and that's when you fall off. Plus, those corners are so slippery. I've seen these Black Knights just fall off the edge just by virtue of trying to get around them. So be careful. These guys, when they follow through, the backswing kind of hits you a little bit, even if they miss you in the front swing, as you're seeing now. But it's no big deal, because the backstab is there for me every time. I have to say, I haven't played this whole thing through with just a dagger. As long as you have a dagger jacked up to the appropriate stat, then it's just fine. I mean, whether you're faith build or sorcery build or whatever, I mean, obviously, if you're going to not use spells, you're going to want to do a dex build. But there's got to be a couple of daggers with S scaling in the game. But this is the basic dagger that you get in the first 5 minutes of the game. I played it the whole way through. In the first hallway, in the very first starting zone, that's the first thing you pick up. So it just shows that any game in Dark Souls, or not any game, any weapon in Dark Souls is viable if you get good with it and put the appropriate buffs and stats and that sort of thing on it, and level your character up accordingly. So, hard part's over. There are 2 remaining mobs, and looky here, Solar. I got his quests correct, and so occasionally I messed that up, but it was nice to see that from the very beginning of the game, basically when I meet him after I think the Taurus demon, to now I managed to carry his storyline through without making any mistakes. So now you can join me in the last boss, which makes the boss laughably easy, because if the boss isn't focused on you, you can just beat the fuck out of him. Now, speaking of getting the fuck beat out of you, that axe is no joke. It's taking away all my stamina, so I'm just trying to get backstabbed without getting one-shotted by that fucking thing. But yeah, it would be worth leveling up a strength build, if only to put him in that armor with that shield and that axe. I just think that combination is so fucking cool looking. Granted, you just probably have to have a really high amount of stats in your stamina just to make it viable, because obviously you'd want to still be able to move. But anyway, for cosplay, it'd be fun. So one final guy, he's got a big ass like glaive or whatever you want to call that. It's not a halberd, I think it's a glaive, whatever it is. He's got a big one, but he's going down. Get him, Solar. Boom! Yeah. See, Solar's pretty useful. What you don't want to do is let these mobs just beat up Solar. They will chop him to pieces if you don't give them an additional target. So here we are, going in to fight Gwyn, the Lord of Cinders. And obviously we'll be meeting the more Lord of Cinders in the Dark Souls 3. So this is the little area that I always encourage people to use for protection. It helps you dodge his attacks dramatically well. Solar hasn't come in yet. There he is. But as you can tell, already my spells are doing insane amounts of damage. The combination of the Ring of Sorcery with the Manus Catalyst is jacking my spells up into the stratosphere. And yeah, a few spells and he's dead. I mean, that's the last boss in the game. So that was definitely the easiest time I've ever had fighting him. I was not expecting at all my spells to hit him nearly that hard. I mean, my spells were just I don't know, that was almost I don't know, abusive. But anyway, he died. That's what shows what happens when you stack your abilities and your gear the appropriate way in Dark Souls. Very, very strange things can happen. And it would have only been more powerful if I'd also put on the red tier Sturming and taken my health down a little lower. So I probably, to be consistent with the Ring Wraiths Covenant that I joined, not Ring Wraiths, Dark Wraiths Covenant that I joined, I probably should have just walked out the door and not lit the fire, but I thought this would be a more dramatic finish. But the honest answer is, I just kind of forgot. But yeah, if you want to do the evil finish, you just walk out the door. If you want to do the good guy finish, you reignite the fire. Either way, it's only a couple second long cutscene, and then it goes straight to credits, and then straight into New Game Plus, and you don't even have an option. It's not like you can kill the boss and then go explore for a bit. In Dark Souls 2 and Dark Souls 3, you have to basically choose when to start New Game Plus. Here, you're not afforded that luxury. You just dive right in. So that's it. That's Dark Souls. So what I'm going to do now, just to give you an idea of how much more powerful we are relative to the beginning of the game, I'm going to show you the beginning of New Game Plus through the first boss and basically go up to the Firelink Shrine. I also did this for purely selfish reasons. I was hoping I had enough souls that I'd accumulated from both the boss and from what I collected that I'd be able to finish the video series at level 100. But this is what I skipped in the very, very beginning of my walkthrough, where you're just a poor little hollow hanging out in a jail cell. And I've never really understood why you're here. I guess you're just down here. You've kind of forgotten who you are. Or actually, not hollow yet. You're an undead. I always get the two mixed up. A hollow has forgotten who they are. An undead still has some self-will and can use humanities to restore their humanity and keep doing their thing. So, but I'm down here kind of waiting for the end of the world, and who knows how long I've been in here. So I'm just chilling in this dank, dark environment. But I love the fact it basically starts you with all your gear except for gear that like opens certain doorways or certain areas. Like you basically have to play the game through all the way again. You will keep your master key, and a lot of your bonfires keep the kindling. I don't think it happens for all of them, but certain bonfires, if you jack them up to 20, they will stay 20. So it's in your interest while you're playing the game to kindle a whole lot of bonfires so that when you come through on New Game Plus, then you don't have to waste your humanities improving the various bonfires, or not as many. So that is one cool thing that carries over. So I've never really known who that guy is because, well, I know exactly who he is, but why he drops that down there for me. But we meet him in a couple minutes when he's like dying or going hollow, and later on we have to kill him. But here we are at the beginning of the game with the spells of a damn god, hitting them with boss weapons like Manus' Catalyst. There's the future boss that I'll come back for. It's always like looking at him. I think it's cool getting that little deep tease. I'm carrying a ton of souls. Yeah, the only thing I don't like about Manus' Catalyst or Staff, whatever you want to call it, it's too goddamn big. I don't like the whole Final Fantasy approach when you're wielding a weapon that's dramatically disproportionate in size to your body. But some people love wielding like the Fume Ultra Great Sword and things like that. They just think it's part of the Dark Souls experience. I like everything to be kind of in proportion to a degree, but fuck it. It's a really, really powerful staff, and I'm going to use it now against this boss, and it is just going to humiliate him. So I get my soul mask going, get my crystal soul spear, and let's see how long this guy can last against my fully active spell. He's got more health, but boom, dead. I mean, I accidentally shot off my second crystal soul spear just because I just killed him way too quickly. So that gives you an idea of where I stand in terms of my power going into it. Granted, this initial burst or rush of power that I have will not last. I mean, if you play New Game Plus, no matter how powerful you are going into it, eventually you're going to not hit a wall, but it will become a challenge again. And if you played a New Game Plus, I don't care how fucking powerful you are, you're going to have a challenge. New Game Plus is legit. A lot of things are going to one-shot you no matter how much health you have. So it's kind of like once you get to New Game Plus 7, I've watched some videos of that, and it's just everything you fight just hits like a truck. So you just have to play a perfect errorless game, which is cool. Definitely forces you to concentrate, but I'd much rather watch it than play it. I have no interest in doing New Game Plus 7. I did a little like through those things that you can use to improve the strength of certain areas in Dark Souls 2. I think they're called, I can't remember what those things are called. You burn them in the bonfires, and it takes that zone up a difficulty level. And I think the most powerful I messed with was like New Game Plus 4 in Dark Souls 2. And it's definitely a challenge. It'll keep you on your toes. I'm just enjoying being overpowered and not even trying to use any sort of skill or grace. I'm just smashing these guys like I'm a warrior or knight or something. But it is fun just to show off your power initially. The way I have my spell set up right now, it's only good for like short boards and or bosses. I wouldn't recommend it for a long dungeon crawl. Like, then you just want to have a whole bunch of spells, but there's only a handful of people to kill, so it's nice just having insanely overpowered spells. What's interesting is as I switch back and forth between my shield and my staff, my number of spells keeps changing, because obviously when you equip the staff, it cuts them in half. But if you want to switch to another weapon in the middle of a clear, it will allow you to have some of your spells back. Now I take a lot of damage there because I don't have the plunge attack to save me on the demon, but that is all right. And so anyway, that's the starting zone. It is time to head to, is it Lordran or Lodran? I always forget the name of kind of the main city or kingdom or hub. I remember Firelink Shrine, but I never remember the name of it. I think it's Lordran, but we'll find out in a matter of moments. Here's one thing, a little taste of reality. The soul packets that you grab are not jacked up in strength at all for New Game Plus, so you're going to have to wait until basically the end of the game to find any souls that are worth your while or are going to help you pass any levels. I mean, you can still grab them, but grabbing like 20 souls at a time from those things is not very helpful when you need 55, 60,000 souls to pass a level. So I'm playing this cutscene as well because I did not on my initial playthrough, but I always think it's nice and dramatic. And this is my buddy who takes me to and from here a couple times during the playthrough. And the land of the ancient lords. What is it called? Let's see if I got it right. Lordran. That's what I thought it was. Yeah, I think it's called like Lord Trek in Dark Souls 2. Actually, I can't remember. It's always like an L city in all the different Dark Souls games. They clearly are afraid to venture too far outside of their comfort zone when it comes to names. But I do love this. It's very dramatic. It just swoops in, drops you off, and here we are, beginning of the game. So I probably will play New Game Plus a little bit for fun, but I won't be making any videos of it. So thank you so much for watching my first walkthrough ever. It has been a pleasure and a privilege recording it for you. It's definitely given me an excuse to play Dark Souls one more time all the way through. I'm very, very glad I did it, and I'm very, very excited to be diving back into the world of Dark Souls 3 and hanging out with some more contemporary content and the more active side of the Dark Souls community. But if you enjoyed this series, please subscribe to it. I will be doing more like it in the future, and obviously a lot more videos about movies and that sort of thing. I want to start doing stuff about comics and more about MMA as well. But if you want to give me a shout on Twitter, you can always do so at Colbrax. I spend way too much time there, but I'm very, very easy to find. And would love to hear any thoughts and ideas you have on making these videos better in the future. The first thing I want to learn how to do is use Photoshop in order to have better thumbnails for my videos. I think that will definitely help quite a bit. So here I am doing one final bow. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the world of Dark Souls 3.